folks. So, something else that's on my mind is I was listening to some other news sources. Golly, that's a big crane. To some other news sources earlier this week. And I don't know if this is true or not, but the FBI has alleged that they have credible information on violence planned at the United States Capitol in D.C. and at various state capitals and even at seats of power in counties. So basically, wherever your county's main courthouse is, there's rumors that there could be violence there on Inauguration Day. Now, I don't think that any of that is warranted. I don't think any of it accomplishes anything good. Here's my opinion on these violent demonstrations that took place over the summer and then in D.C. Here's my entire opinion about it. When you go out and destroy things, burn things, steal things, break things, threaten people, hurt people, kill people, or get killed because of your actions, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, in my opinion, it makes it very easy for the opposing side of the political aisle to paint you in a bad light. Very easily. And that doesn't help the overall tenor of discussion in the United States right now. We need more civil discussions across the aisle, and when you've got people out committing acts of violence and calling it a protest, and then on top of that, if you take up for other people that even if you're not, but if you've got to understand they're upset and this is what you do when you're upset. No, you don't. And you lose credibility, in my opinion, when you start talking that way. So anyway, I just think that the only protest that made big news this year that happened, and I don't think it was smart in several ways, but I don't necessarily disagree with their methods, was in Michigan or Minnesota, I think it was Michigan. They had anti-lockdown protests earlier this year because the governor of Michigan had exceeded her delegated powers. Now, I think it could have been very stupid to do that protest, especially then, kind of early stages of COVID, and we didn't know then what we know now. So I don't think it was a smart protest to have, strictly from the pandemic point of view. But no one was hurt. No one was injured. Nothing was damaged. They went into the state capitol. They formed a line, and they started yelling and hooting and hollering, and they left. After just yelling and hooting and hollering. That was it. So, their timing, I guess. But even then, like, how do you protest a lockdown when you're in lockdown and you think the governor's exceeded her delegated authority? So I might disagree with their methods a little bit in the timing of it, but from just what they did, it was a respectable protest, in my opinion. Now, at the time, I said they're kind of idiots because there's a pandemic. But then I said the exact same thing about BLM storming to the streets in hundreds of thousands nationwide, and people calling it a mostly peaceful protest. And I've been on countless debates on Facebook over that in the past 8 months. And one guy keeps saying they were only 7% of the protests ever turned violent. I'm like, okay, that's great, but you do realize that we had that small percentage caused $1 to $2 billion worth of damages just in damaged property, not counting business closures, which I guarantee they're happening. And the way I come off saying that, there was a business in Louisville, Kentucky I read about that had shuttered due to the pandemic, and they were just starting to reopen restaurants to carry out and things like that, and they weren't doing the business necessary in order to sustain that, so they just stayed closed. And they were going to be able to reopen once the state orders had eased up a touch. Great for them. Good for them. Rioting and looting happened during the BLM protests, and they were unable to reopen, so they permanently closed down. Now, so not only did the building get damaged, so whoever the landlord was has to deal with his insurance company, but all those people didn't have a job in this economy. So I kind of try to hold the same standard for everybody. The only protest, like I said, the only protest that made national news that I'm somewhat okay with is the ones back early to mid last year in Michigan, the anti-lockdown protests, because there was no violence, there was no threats of violence, there were no guns drawn, there were no nothing. It was a loud, intimidating looking protest because a lot of the people showed up there in body armor and carrying numerous weapons. None of them were used. So, anyway, I wish that people would quit using violence in their demonstrations because it makes it easier for the other side to demonize you. And once that happens, like, okay, when you start calling the other side something evil, you know, a Marxist, a Nazi, a fascist, an anarchist, whatever, once you start doing that, you don't really owe them the time of day for conversation. And I think that's how a lot of the political discourse has been done away with. So, and I also think that the most radical elements of both sides of the aisle are the ones sucking up all the media attention and all the screen time, and so it's easier and easier to characterize the other side as being wholly this and wholly that. The moderates don't get the screen time because the incentive structure for the news agencies isn't there to let them do that. Anyway, I'm done for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all are doing okay. Stay safe, stay sane. Hit the like button if you like the video. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when new stuff goes up. Oh, by the way, my Focus is fixed. My wife should be picking it up due to my work schedule. I couldn't, so hopefully I'll be back in a quieter vehicle to do these podcasts starting tomorrow. I am excited about that. It's the second time it's been in the shop in about 3 months. Neither time it it didn't have an appointment either time, so they had to, you know, kind of work it in. And I worked at a service shop. I know how all that goes. I played all the games and dealt with all the headaches that they have to deal with. So they can tell me, you know, we got to have an inspector come out. I understand how all that works. They can tell me we got to clear some space out in the shop in order to even get you in to start figuring out what's going on with it. I understand how all that works. So it's been in the shop for over a month this year, and that's why I was in the loaners and then this, and I just didn't have a chance to pick up a loaner due to being on quarantine with my wife and my mother having COVID. So anyway, hoping to get that back, because this thing requires premium right now, and it gets, on the work commute, it gets about 16 miles a gallon, no, about 14 miles a gallon less than the Focus, which only requires unleaded. So I'm looking forward to getting back in that thing, because also it's more comfortable. Anyway, y'all take care, stay safe, stay sane, all the things. See y'all next time.